If that's what you think, you've a lot to learn about the kind of facts the mob can handle and the kind that it refuses. You've a lot to learn about the news and all its many uses. Guess you've yet to learn the truth the news will serve as fruit from which they've squeezed out all the juices. And we all eat the husk and just pretend it's full of nutrients and isn't really useless. But the jaws of our ability to yield accountability are absolutely toothless. So don't you kid yourself that any lips are being loosened. They won't ever tell us where the bodies are or show us where the proof is. It's on you to recognize the lechery our president so regularly oozes. It's on you to muster up some honesty and ask yourself how Biden won your trust, but it's America that loses. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises. March of Dimes. Family fun run cancer bonanza. Front page of Apartheid Times. All of the charm of a car bomb. Arms wide open, taking no targets alive. Dark was the night, save for a red glow painting the sky in a sickening light. Like a scene out of hell or a day in an utterly alien life. When the fire runs wild. These are the years where the wild is more your daily drive. To wrestle the truth of extinction from out of the jaws of your pride.
Hi, everyone. You can kind of see me. I'm going to try to be at the big girls table soon. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Politics of Survival. You're going to see me in a full box soon. Okay. So welcome back to the Politics of Survival. And thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for all of you that came last night as well. So I have a really special guest tonight that I love, admire, and have for the last couple of years. I follow him and watch him avidly. He speaks truth and he calls out the elite Democrats. And like me, he was a Democrat for most of his adult life. So without further ado, Ryan Knight is with us tonight. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, thank you so much, Tara, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So we were talking before the mics went hot and the cameras were on, about the nightmare of 2020 and those of us that think outside the box and aren't really into the duopoly. And as you know, tonight's show is called The Politics of the Duopoly. And you've been one of the biggest critics of how the two-party system is failing American citizens. And you were so outspoken during that time. And as a result, got trolled heavily and, you know, called all kinds of things. But what, tell me a little bit about what good came from that and kind of the, because you did galvanize a lot of people and get them kind of forward thinking and, you know, exiting the Democratic Party for
yeah,
that.
so, I mean, I was a Democrat for like 18 years and, you know, I like to say now an obedient Democrat. I voted for Bernie in 2016. He was kind of like the first politician that kind of opened my eyes a little wider to just how corrupt the system is. But then after the primary, you know, like a good little Democrat, I voted for the party nominee, Hillary, which I now regret.
Right.
But in 2020, you know, I couldn't, after the primary, again, I voted for Bernie again. After that primary, my eyes were wide open, you know, and I'm so over the term woke because the people who use it really aren't. I
Right.
like the term awake. And when I finally saw just how corrupt the Democrats really are, and that their function in our duopoly is essentially to trap all social opposition to our corrupt political system and to our economic system, and to trap it into their party where they can control it, water it down, and then destroy it. Literally, there's no other institution in American society that destroys grassroots movements with more efficiency than the Democratic Party. They destroyed Bernie's movement in 2016. They destroyed it again in 2020. The party will destroy any grassroots movement or any movement toward dignity and justice for all people, because again, that's the role of the party. The party is, when I hear people call it a left party, I laugh, because when I think of left, I think of the working class, I think of healthcare for everyone, I think of jobs for everyone, I think of an economy that works for everyone. Well, that's not what the Democrats are on board for. The Democrats literally exist to serve Wall Street, the ruling class, and the military industrial complex. And now where they confuse people, and where they got me for a while, is they sedate the public with these sugary platitudes, and they weaponize identity politics. And they say, I happen to be gay myself, and they pander to the LGBTQ community like none other. But the truth is, like, they really don't care about us. They don't care about our lives. What they care about is power. What they care about are their wealthy donors. And look, leaving the party after the 2020 primary, I knew how corrupt the party was. I knew we were never going to get fundamental change for the people from the party. But even I underestimated just how corrupt and disastrous Joe Biden's presidency has been. Let's just be honest about it, right? I mean, the gas prices are out of control. Inflation is out of control. More money for the military, more endless wars. We're now in a proxy war with Russia. They just gave them another $40 billion this week. And meanwhile, we've got no health care, no Medicare for all, no living wages. Nope. No one's life has gotten better with the Democrats in charge of the White House and the House and the Senate. And that's because the party is corrupt, and it literally exists to serve the rich and to serve the ruling class, just the same reason the Republican Party exists. So when you finally realize that both of these parties are working against the people's interests, then you start to realize, okay, now we've got to build movements and actions to get the people to come together. Because at the end of the day, the people aren't as divided as the politicians and the cable news networks would like us to believe, right? We want good jobs. We want to make a living wage. We want healthcare. We want to keep our families safe. We want good roads and bridges and schools. And we don't want to be at war with all these other countries and bombing the world, right? So we agree on most things, but it's the parties who keep us divided. Because that's how they rig the system against us. If you can, it's divide and conquer, the old strategy, and they do it really well. And I can't be a part of it anymore. I've forever left the Democratic Party. Like you said, #DemExit. And I'm all about now working with people who've maybe voted Republican or Democrat in the past that want to build, a political party, a movement that's actually going to deliver dignity and justice for all people, and not just, fearmonger and fundraise and protect the powerful. And that's all we see both of these corrupt parties do, is they literally.
And I think everyone saw a really shining example of that with the Roe v. Wade that just happened, because Democrats got a little boost in their fundraising. And what was interesting about that was the timing, one, but two, also that anyone would even, I don't know who would give to them. Like, why would you give to the Democrats? Like, when they are notoriously not going to do what you need them to do.
Yeah, and we saw this week. What did they do? Just yesterday, they just voted to, they're not going to abolish the filibuster to actually pass and protect abortion rights in this country. Hey, kitty. But they did vote yesterday with Republicans unanimously. Every Democrat in the Senate, including Bernie Sanders, they voted to give more protection and security to the Supreme Court justices. But they won't protect women's rights. But they moved so quickly to protect, again, the Supreme Court justices, which are members of the ruling class. So when you see this government, this duopoly, you know, people call it a two-party system. It's really a one-party system because they work together. You know, this whole, when you turn on Fox News or CNN and you see, it's like professional wrestling. It's all a charade. You know what I mean? Like behind closed doors, when the Democrats and Republicans aren't in front of the camera and pandering to their respective bases, behind closed doors, they're best friends. You know, they have, because they share the same corporate donors. They work for the same billionaires. And so when you finally see the charade for what it is, and you see that, like, watch how fast our government moves to action when it's things like protecting the ruling class, giving more security to the Supreme Court, when it's bailing out Wall Street. Or how about last week, they just voted to give large corporations $140 billion tax incentive, where they're calling it for research and development. Well, Bernie just said, well, why don't you actually just have a little amendment to the bill? And instead of just giving these corporations this huge amount of corporate welfare, why don't we make sure they don't outsource those jobs to China or Mexico? And why don't we demand that the jobs these companies create, that they'll stay in America, which is very reasonable. Nope, every Democrat and Republican voted against Bernie's little proposal. And so but they didn't vote against the $140 billion in federal aid to these large corporations. So you see a government right now that is the most corrupt government in the world, that wants to continue to fund wars throughout the world to suppress the working class abroad. And then at home, with high taxes, people aren't getting anything for their taxes. And any kind of legislation, bipartisanship in Washington, D.C., when you hear that word, be scared, because that just means that the Democrats and Republicans have come together to write legislation and write laws that are rigged for the billionaire class and for the giant corporations who own them. And so that's what happens in Washington. And if we want a government, if we want a country where dignity and justice is possible for everyone, then you can't vote for either one of these parties. You definitely can't support them financially. Like, stop giving your money to politicians. Invest that money. If you have money to give it to your community. Mutual aid. Give it to people who are actually struggling in the streets. Don't waste a dollar on these corrupt politicians. Because again,
or support your podcast or mine.
Yeah, support independent media. Because you know, information warfare. How do you get? If you just heard me talk about what our government is, how do you get the public to support an oligarchy, right? To support a government that is literally rigged against them? Well, the only way you do that is by controlling the information, and by, agencies like the CIA and also our corporate media, which is literally just a propaganda machine for the US empire. You know, that's how you get people. And that's why you see this push for censorship, because people are starting to wake up. Their lives aren't getting any better. And so no one would support this government if they knew what was really happening. So that's why they're censoring information. That's why they're trying to control information. So the people won't wake up. And so the people will keep obeying this corrupt system. And, you know, I just think it's time for millions of us to rise up and say enough.
Yeah, and we're not really seeing that galvanization of people. And like, you know, just to give you an example of a little odyssey that I went through, I need some dental work right now. And I have an insurance like basic that you get with OHP or whatever with the state that I live in. And this is the interesting thing. No one would take it. Then finally I found a dentist that would, but they would only pay for half the procedure. So in other words, like half of a root canal. And so the other half is like $1,200 plus whatever else goes with it. But you have to pay the full amount at service. You can't just break it into payments. And this is, you know, that's dental. And then, you know, health, you know, is crisis. You know, we're all, because the states are taking the federal money, they get the kickbacks to offer some services. But then what they do is they make it almost like a maze, or make it impossible for people to access those services that are supposed to be low cost, or, you know, based on your income. And so another trick to all of this is to say, oh, well, I passed a law that did this. But then what they do is they give it and then they take it away. Kind of like what they did with COVID relief. They were supposed to give housing relief. Well, I found out that in 2 of the states here on the West Coast, 90% of that money has never gone to where it was supposed to go. 90%.
It went to the police.
Yeah.
It literally, the COVID money, like in California, this is why I think it's so funny how disconnected a lot of us are from our political system. Because you hear conservatives talk about, oh, the Democratic Party is so socialist. And no, it's not. The Democratic Party is capitalist and imperialist to its core. It is one half of the oligarchy, and the Republican Party is the other half. And the state you're talking about, California, they gave the majority of their COVID money that was supposed to go to healthcare and to public housing and to help people. They gave it to the police forces. They literally spent it on police because they knew that people are struggling. And so what do people do when they struggle? They rebel, as they should. Riot. We should be rebelling every day against this corrupt system. So, that's, again, I mean, we're so far away from anything that resembles dignity and justice for all people in this country. And, when you talk about healthcare, one thing that blows my mind is with this new legislation and this new package for Ukraine, Biden and the Democrats are giving them an additional $40 billion. It was $33 billion, but that wasn't enough. So they raised it by by an additional $7 billion. And they're now giving $40 billion. And this is in addition to the aid that they already sent a few months back. So, and for me, when you look at just the landscape of our nation right now, we have 140 million Americans who are either poor or low income. That's almost half of our country. We have 92 million Americans, 92 million Americans who are either underinsured or uninsured.
Right.
And you have Biden and the Democrats, instead of spending money on the American people, they're spending money on a proxy war with Russia. This is outrageous. And you know what, Ryan? This is unconscionable.
And they don't even hide it. Like what Biden said last week, remember? He stood in front of in front of the press corps that does nothing but ask him how many more weapons he's going to send to Ukraine and what kind. But anyway, he was standing giving this speech saying, well, Ukrainians need pocket money. And I was like, do we just not exist to these people? Like American citizens just don't exist.
Yes, we do. They literally, our government does not give a shit about us.
No.
And for me, what's most remarkable is when your eyes finally are wide open, you just think to yourself, how have we tolerated this abuse and this corruption for so long? And the reason is because they're in control of the information, because of our corporate media. So people are literally, you've got half the country that's just suffering in silence, and then they turn on the news and you've got the Fox News or the CNN or the MSNBC. They're all the same to me. They're literally all the same. They're just corporate owned media that supports our decrepit capitalist and imperialist system. They have different messages that they target the base, but essentially the message that both are putting out is deceiving the people from the actual corruption, from the fact that neither party is on our side, from the fact that both of them are working against us and they're writing laws that are literally rigged against the working class and are rigged for the ruling class. And they prevent us from coming together, because at the end of the day, that's the real fear of the oligarchy or of our duopoly, right? Is the only way to keep this going is to keep us divided. Because if they can keep us divided as, red versus blue, the people are so busy fighting each other, they're trying to convince us that our neighbors are the problem. They want us to be fighting with each other, because if we're fighting with each other, we're too busy fighting each other to notice that hey, look up there, they're rigging the system against us. So that's really the great fear. Each party spends so much time demonizing the other, blaming every problem in America on the other side, because their big fear is all of us coming together and putting an end to this corrupt government once and for all. And so that's why, like, when I finally woke up, I won't, buy into these narratives that are meant to divide us anymore. And I think that, I encourage everyone to try to find solidarity in your community, even people that maybe voted differently than you. Like, again, at the end of the day, we're all not that different. Like me, I've got a partner, I've got a husband, but I want the same thing as a voter who voted for Trump and it isn't gay. Like, we both just want a good job, good wages, good health care, safety for our family. Like, we're not that different.
Well, and that's what
but they make it seem like we should be so different. In fact, today, like, I find more in common, even though I disagree with a lot of their economic policies, I find at least some of the people on the right, you know, even though I am a socialist, again, and I disagree with the economics, I see a lot more conservatives that want to like burn the government down or want to protest, where I see these liberals, they're such elitists that they just like, oh no, we just need to get rid of the Republicans and then America will magically be fixed. And I'm like,
And
have you
don't
looked
go
into
to
who funds
anybody's
your party?
house. Remember when they said that? Psaki said, no, don't go to people's houses.
Right.
and
Yeah. Don't protest. Are you fucking kidding me? Like anyone that's telling you not to protest or telling you how to protest, they
Yeah.
are literally trying to uphold the status quo and you should not be listening to them. And that's the thing about these liberals is they've literally become the gatekeepers for the status quo in America. They
Right.
just want to get rid of Republicans and then everything will be okay. And I'm like, have you seen who funds your party? The same billionaires that fund the Republicans, the same corporations that fund the Republicans, they also fund the Democrats. You can get rid of the red corporate party, then we're left with the blue corporate party and we got the same problems, maybe just different rhetoric, right? Because the Democrats are masters of rhetoric. They spill out nice rhetoric to confuse people. At the end of the day, they're just as fascist, they're just as racist, they're just as corrupt as the Republicans. They just put a prettier face on it. What's up,
There you
bro?
have it.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, look who joined us.
Yeah,
Hi.
I'm on East Coast time, so forgive me. I'm like, am I supposed to go on at 10 or 9?
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm glad. So Ryan, I don't know if you've met Rome. Rome, this is Ryan, but
Hey,
hi.
yes, of course. He's been on my show a few times. I love me some Rome.
There you have it.
Rome is the
if I'm
man.
not, you know, I be trying to be nice, so I won't get y'all kicked, you know.
Oh, you know,
it's
I
good.
get just kicked just for being here. So,
Oh yeah,
so
man, life really got to
no things there. But so, you know, and I want to encourage the audience right now to like, subscribe to this, you know, to this live stream, please. And also if you have any questions for Rome or for Ryan or comments you want us to read, send them in and we'll make this interactive a bit. So Ryan was just breaking it down for us about the state of the world, and you've been out helping today again. Yeah.
Oh yeah, every day.
Yeah. So can you give us an update on the tour of the poor and where you're at and what's going on?
Right now I'm in Detroit, Michigan. I'm focusing on giving away 10,000 plus diapers, wipes. We're doing a barbecue. Just to get together, I'm gonna have some a media presence there. We're gonna be starting to shoot my documentary with Right Brighton TV. They want to get a hold of everything I'm doing on the ground as far as Tour for the Poor, RBN, even stuff on the ground that you guys don't get to see. You know, like me fundraising and how I actually come across people to have these conversations, whether they be conservative or socialist or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. I'm trying to pack my bags, get ready for Delaware, Kansas City, and then I might be doing something in New York again with Josana. So it's a hell of been a hell of a road, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. Yeah, you're doing a lot of good. You're down there doing action. And you know, Ryan, that's one of the things I wanted to get back to you about what you were talking about earlier. What are some actions that people can take like right now? Because we're coming up on the midterms. People are foolishly donating to both Republicans and Democrats, but to Democrats right now, which is, you know, they should be helping other people. And what are some action things that we can do? Right?
First off, do not give any money to Democrat politicians, Republican politicians. These parties are not on our side. Your money is better spent giving it to people like Rome, who are out there in the streets doing mutual aid and direct action. You know, that's how you can get involved. There's also other parties who actually care about their communities. We've got the Socialist Alternative Party. In Seattle, it's more focused in Seattle right now, but I know there's other chapters. They do great work. Shama Savant does great work. You know, there's a lot of labor movements going on. I think one of the most important things you can do right now is organize your workplace, take some power back from the CEO of your company who is literally exploiting you. It's important for workers to understand their power, to understand that, you know, these CEOs think they run the American economy. No. None of the goods get to market. None of the products get made. Nothing in this country happens without the working class. It's the working class who runs the economy. And the workers deserve pretty much, I mean, what I feel is the workers deserve all of the profits. I mean, that, you know, when you look at different models and stuff, that's really what convinced
We
me.
deserve 90%.
They deserve it. I mean, the literally that, and that is what socialism is. I think there's so much fear mongering around it, but essentially that the workers own the means of production, that they produce the goods, they make the goods. Someone like Jeff Bezos, you cannot become a billionaire without exploiting all of the workers underneath you. Jeff Bezos couldn't go out there and deliver 1 million goods to market every day. His workers do that, you know, and you find out these workers are peeing in bottles and they're not getting bathroom breaks and they're getting underpaid. They're not even getting paid a living wage. And so, you know, enough is enough. For me, the working class comes first. And these two parties exploit the working class, and they also pander to the working class. Every time elections roll around, the Democrats, Republicans, they have the same message. It's just, so again, it's a little different. They use different rhetoric, but they both pretend like they care about the working class. And the truth is, both of these parties don't give a shit about the working class. They actively work against the working class, and they literally exist to write laws to benefit the CEO class and the billionaire class. So do not give your money to these politicians. Get out in your communities, organize your workplaces, and find find opportunities where you can also just have conversations, right? Yeah. I think right now we're in a space where I don't know what the next big movement looks like. But what I do know is that I'm not wasting time on another Bernie Sanders movement where you just bring together millions of people who do want to see change. Let's get it straight here. There's nothing wrong with Bernie's voters. Bernie's voters were voting for change. The problem is Bernie was a sheep herder, and he led them into a Democratic Party that had no interest in enacting any of Bernie's policies. The Democratic Party has no interest in a living wage. They have no interest in healthcare for everyone. Again, the Democrats exist to stop any real workers' movement and to co-opt grassroots movements. So I just know whatever happens next, we cannot get involved in a political movement that is going to be funneled into one of these two corrupt parties, because nothing will happen. We've got to build movements outside of the duopoly, and then you can pressure these corrupt politicians. And I would also encourage people to speak out. Again, educate people in your families, your friends, and speak out against these two parties. They don't deserve our votes. They don't deserve our money, our time, our resources. They are corrupt to the core. They deserve to be, like, literally both parties deserve to be destroyed. Goodbye. Like, neither supports justice, neither supports liberty. Get rid of these parties.
So Rome, can you tell our audience like how they can do direct action helping you with what you're doing?
Yeah, y'all can always join me with Tour for the Poor on the ground. I'm always open to work with any and everybody, as long as you are willing to step out here and help the people. But I wanted to add on to what Ryan is saying. Not only do we have to stop giving our money, time, and our body to politicians, a lot of you realize that we are actually in the class war. Now, when you are in the class war, you have to move like you are a part of a military. What branch are you a part of? Are you front lines? Are you, you know what I'm saying, the engineering type? Do you build? Do you destroy? Et cetera, et cetera. Now, we have people who wants to vote. We have people who wants parties and whatnot. Right now isn't the time to vote. Right now it's time to revolt. So there is and there will be a time and a place for you guys to vote, cast your vote, and even run for office, but under a fascist corporate system that we're living under, that isn't possible. You're not going to make real change, even if, like, okay, you can make change locally and whatnot, but we're still going to be bombing the Middle East. We're still going to be putting money into bombing one of the most evilest things that we have seen that's going on in Yemen right now. We're still going to have sanctions on. So there isn't a time and a place. So we have to move like a military. Our front lines and our fighters have to fight. Stop dogging out our front line people because they have that military mindset. You're going to need people like that. If you have a political mindset and you feel like you're going to run for office and you two are, you know what I'm saying, leftist, socialist, communist, whatever, even if you don't see his way of getting to the finish line, you know what I'm saying, y'all have to work together. It goes hand in hand every time, because you putting yourself out there, exposing the war crimes of America, running to the left of Democrats, even the Green Party, et cetera, you make yourself a target, right? So you're gonna need people around you who's gonna protect you, who's gonna make sure your word actually lives on when you actually get hit, because there is a possibility of them actually taking you out. They took out presidents, they took out civil rights leaders, they will take you out also. So when we notice that we are in this class war, you're gonna need generals, you're gonna need leaders, you're gonna need captains, you're gonna need an army, you're gonna need a military, you're gonna need a navy, you're gonna need you're gonna need all of us. And you're gonna have to realize that, you know what I'm saying, it's our life or theirs. So once we stop looking at it as once we stop looking at it like, damn, we really plotting on just ending this whole dual career, we should say, quote unquote. Oh, a cat. We about to end this whole dual career. Don't look at it as that. I always tell you guys, look at it as saving millions of people, generations of people. You know what I'm saying? People not even in our country, borders. So when we stopping people like oil tycoons, we're helping the earth. You know what I'm saying? We are helping the earth rebuild itself and refreshing. When we are stopping these weapon contractors, we're helping the earth. We're helping people in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Yemen, et cetera, right? So we're not just ending somebody's career. We are giving life to many generations and many nations.
That's right.
Right.
Well, to piggyback off what Rome said, one of the reasons the system is corrupted as it is, continues, is because we're so, and this is intentional. They do this really with the corporate media. They do this with the propaganda that both parties use, but people are so disconnected from the actual consequences of our system and the consequences of our imperialism, the consequences of this decrepit capitalism. And so every day people are just trying to get by, right? Or save a little bit of money or however they're living their life, but they're not seeing just how bad it is out there internationally for the working class. And then even here, again, we have 140 million Americans who are poor or low income. So there's cities here that are just completely run down, where you drive down a block and it's completely been deserted. No money is coming in from city governments, from federal government to help these impoverished areas. And that is a result of our system. And so that's one of the reasons it continues, is because the illusion, right? And so we don't see the consequences of it, or many people just don't even realize what's going on. So like Rome said, when the system is no longer exploiting the poor and the working class to enrich the ruling class, that's what our system is, then that's when you get liberation for the planet, liberation for the people. And it really will be a better earth. But when you're living in this kind of bubble of the American exceptionalism, they call it, there's nothing exceptional about making millions and billions of dollars off of exploiting the poor and the working class, both abroad and here at home. And that's really what the system does. It's a system of exploitation. It's a system of, I got mine, fuck y'all. And that's a kind of system. It's not sustainable. This system is going to destruct one way or the other. And I think what we're saying is, let's build something better so we don't have this great implosion eventually.
When I first came in, you were speaking on liberals and how they are basically trying to sheep herd people back into the Democratic Party, and this is what they do. Yep. And there is a reason behind this. When we look back, and a couple of people have done reports on where the squad actually get their support from, where their funding come from. Most of their funding come from gentrified neighborhoods, So 1 and 1 goes to 2. If their supporters aren't telling us to push these people to be more radical, to, go after Medicare for all housing, that means that they either, have something to gain or something to lose, right? So once people see people like us actually being radical and we saying land back and stuff like that, they look at their house and their inheritance that they are, that they are down the line to get. We become a threat to that, even though it isn't even in our goals, even though their parents isn't even rich enough for them to be in our sight. They still see something to lose because they have a world of privilege. And when you are born into a world of privilege and you have to share, you feel like you are being oppressed. You feel like you are being taken away from. And this is all we ask for.
Exactly.
And they say, oh, well, no. Don't be too loud. Don't be too radical. Don't say death to America. Say life for America. Like say life to more Americans. Like, no, we're going to end this shit and everything it stands for. We can't sit here and act like we can reform $12 billion into a police department. How can you reform that? How can you reform Black people still being killed at high levels in their own cities, in Democratic run cities at that?
That's right.
You can't reform this. The city, I mean, the system was made like this, but when you have people who's out here saying, oh, well, let's just try harder, vote harder, be nicer. They have
vote harder. Yeah.
Vote harder.
That's it. There's a blue
like,
no matter who.
That one's delusional because like, why would you
have a platform? They come out of nowhere and they get thousands of fucking followers out of fucking nowhere. It's because the system and the people want them to have that type of defeatism platform. Like, hey, look, we can't win if we don't have these guys on our side. These guys are the best that we can get. This is the best that we can do. They're telling you that you are weak, you are dumb, you are weak, and you can't fucking fight without, you know what I'm saying, without them. And you're gonna lose without them. They're saying there is no people power without politicians involved in it. And I say that's bullshit.
Good for you. Good for you. And
well, and when you say the vote harder,
Indy, you had some people posting some comments or questions. Do you want to read a couple?
Oh, nobody can hear me. Now you got my mic live. Hi, everybody. This is Indy. So, yeah, we got JB in the chat. JB, hey, JB. And we've got Bitch with Comrade Misty. Misty's in the chat. She came in to say hi. Everybody's agreeing with Ryan. Everybody's agreeing with Rome. Making great points. You guys are on points. Jewel of a conversation, 100%. Everybody's comfortable. They don't have a sense of urgency like those of us who are working poor do. That was JB's point. Again, just everybody is down and happy to see you. And this, you guys.
I love me some Misty. What up, Misty?
Hey, Misty.
Misty. What's good, JB?
Yeah,
JB said, ain't nobody getting no sense of urgency.
Yeah, and you know what? While we're on Misty, let's talk a little bit about what happens when you do speak out against the empire and expose their embarrassing warmongering secrets like Julian Assange. Misty is a great advocate for bringing awareness and education about what Julian Assange, who's still in Belmarsh prison. So when you see that kind of thing, Ryan and Rome, like, how does it make you feel about activism yourself? Does it put you off in the sense of, you know, what the danger that it poses, or does it galvanize you to even fight harder?
Shit, fight harder. I mean, he could be worse. They could have Malcolm X'd his ass. Could have Martin Luther King'd his ass, right? So he still have a way to push his words. Even he don't even have to say much. He can just show it on his face. So he still has that privilege to show his words. So this does, you know what I'm saying, nothing to me as far as pushing me out to do more. Like, okay, well, how can I get Julian Assange? Because fuck, I'm trying to go down too. If I have to go down, I will go down for what I said and what I believe in. And you have to be able, like, you gotta know what's coming. You are not just sitting here saying, fight the power, fight the power. When you are educating, when you actually lead and you are activists in your community and you are being, you know what I'm saying, noticed for these things, and you're going to go down in stone for these things, they're going to make sure that you go down. So either they're going to kill your character or just kill your character, right? So the whole thing, I look at Julian Assange thing like this. He could have been a little bit more smarter. I say that. With the way he was moving, he did that tour. I don't agree with it. I would have said, stay the fuck away from NATO. Stay the fuck away from America and all of their fucking buddies, right? He could have did that. That was on his own, but he still was feeling like me. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna say what the fuck I want, and I'm gonna go wherever the fuck I want. And that's just being, you know what I'm saying, a stubborn man. But we know what's coming to us.
But back to the activism part, because you're down on the ground and you're talking to people that are and giving, aid and giving help. And so how can people that want instead, because we're getting this big push from the shit libs with the yellow and blue flags, and they're giving, we have people in our country that need help, that need direct aid. So how can they contact you, Rome? And how can they help? How can they help with some of the things you're doing?
Should just look me up on Twitter, Unholy Rome. The E is a 3. And you can look me up, Tour for the Poor. You can hashtag Tour for the Poor, Cash App, PayPal, and Cash App, Venmo, and my PayPal is Unholy Rome 6. And y'all can just come through. I'm always live. My DMs are open. If you want to get out here on the ground, I'm telling you, there's nothing to it, man. Like a lot of people saying, I'd be scared to go out there and do that. I'm like, why?
I did this thing where I was giving away pet food to people in need that were, struggling. And do you know, the New York Times went after me and said, was your nonprofit accredited? And did you? And I was like, it didn't get any money. It got donations of dog and cat food and cat litter. And I would give it away. That wasn't money. And they were just like, but immediately they were just trying to find something wrong.
That's that elitism. That's that elitism. Right?
Yeah,
anyone who's doing something,
they're like, oh, well, you're not a real
box.
profit. You're not a real nonprofit, and your money isn't recorded. Like my money is recorded. Everything I get, I put it right there on my damn page. Like, okay, thank you for the $5, Michael. Thank you for the $10, wherever the fuck it is. If you want to,
I've seen the 10,000 diapers. I've seen pictures of all your diapers that you.
And they still say, "Oh, Rome don't do what he does with that fucking money." It's impossible.
Yes, you come through for your community. I've seen every event. I saw you passing out tents, and then the cops are coming because God forbid we give homeless people tents, right? I mean, God forbid.
They could.
The people
they
who fall through the
them
cracks.
now. It's awful.
And someone like Rome goes out there, provides them tents. And then the cops come and try to take their fucking tents. Like, that is the country we live in. This is a country that doesn't care about poor and working class people or black or brown. This country will, this country is about oppressing the poor to funnel more money to the rich. That's it. Exploit the labor of the poor and working class to enrich the ruling class. And just to go back to Assange made me get louder because he really exposed the whole game. And that's why they're going after him so hard. I mean, I was, again, back in 2016, I did vote for Bernie, but I was still like, I was totally just like buying the narratives that the Democrats were giving us still. I didn't have my awakening till much later. But when you remember, it was Julian Assange who released the emails that showed that Hillary Clinton and the DNC were actually rigging the primary against Bernie, and they were showing that the DNC was playing favorites on who they wanted to get the nominee, and they were helping Hillary. They were giving Hillary questions of the debates ahead of time. They were using the power of the party to fundraise for her. They were literally rolling out the red carpet for her. That's not democracy. Rigging a primary for your preferred corporate candidate. That is not democracy. That is oligarchy. That is corruption. And Julian Assange called it all out. That's why they don't like him. That's why Democrats who say they believe in free speech, no, they don't. They believe in tyranny because censorship is a path to tyranny and fascism. It is not a path to democracy. So when you're locking someone up who's revealing the truth about the corruption in the Democratic Party, and then revealing war crimes that were committed, by the U.S. military, by high-ranking U.S. government officials, and then you lock someone up who's revealing those war crimes? No. We are so. This they're bringing him over
on espionage charges, and he's an Australian citizen.
Yeah, he's not even an American citizen, so you can't charge him with espionage charges. The whole case should be thrown out. Julian Assange should have a medal around his neck.
But who's going to do it? Who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up?
He should not be in prison.
Is it the EU? Who's going to stand up? Like, as far as these war crimes go, it isn't just America, you know what I'm saying? The US, everybody, all of these European nations, I should say, got a fucking hand in what Julian Assange was fucking exposing. So of course, they're gonna be like, look, they're gonna run him through these jails. They're gonna torture this man. And if they can't kill him just by, you know what I'm saying, just by torture, they're gonna get in his head and tell him, hey, if you ever see this fucking sunlight ever again, you better not fix your mouth to say something. We own you. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna go through a probation period. He's gonna be on a tether. He's gonna be
That's
on
if
house
he
arrest.
lives though, Rome. He's in such bad
live in
health. It's like
prison for the
watching
rest of his
you
fucking
know,
life.
Yeah, but Rome, I think you hit the nail on the head like maybe 10 minutes ago when you said that they don't necessarily kill these movement leaders anymore, but they kill their character. And in this new information age we live in the digital age where everyone is a Twitter account or a TikTok account or a Facebook account, that's all they need to do. That is all that they need to do, is they need to assassinate people's character. And we know firsthand, Tara knows this, I know this, Rome knows this. You know, when I left the Democratic Party, there were troll farms like posting pictures of my boyfriend's house on the internet. Oh, he's a fake socialist because my boyfriend has a good job. I was unemployed at the time. But you know, it's like they'll use anything to go after you. They will, that's what it's about. They will if you stand up to the empire, if you stand up to these corrupt parties, if you stand up to the Democratic Party, because that, again, the Democratic Party is the ruling class's kind of insurance policy, right? They know the Republicans are very brazen about, tax breaks for the rich. They're very just kind of earnest and honest about how, we're capitalists. We don't mind this oligarchy. We don't mind big business. You see these conservatives celebrating Elon Musk, celebrating his wealth. You know, I'm over here like, when are people going to wake up and realize right now 3 billionaires hoard more wealth than half of our entire nation? The rest of us are fighting for scraps. 30 years from now, it's going to be like they're going to own 90% of the wealth in our nation, and we're going to be fighting for the 10% left over. Like, at what point do people realize that this rigged economy is going to kill all of us? But my point is they just need, the Democrats are, again, that's their insurance policy. So that's why the party will go after people like you, Tara, like Rome, and like me, who've left and are exposing the corruption, and they assassinate our character. That's all they need, because they don't want these liberals waking up. They don't want Bernie voters waking up. They want to think, oh no, look at Bernie and AOC. They're changing the system from the inside. Bitch, please. I'm sorry. The Democratic Party has not done shit. We are further away from Medicare for all and a living wage with Democrats controlling the House, Senate, and White House than we were when the Republicans had power. So give me a break about changing the Democratic Party from within. The party is more corrupt than it's ever been. Bernie and AOC haven't done shit. They've literally just sheep herded for the corrupt party. And honestly, as someone who voted for Bernie twice, I am very disappointed in Bernie Sanders. He could have had a legacy. He could literally right now, he's got millions of people who follow his every move. He could leave the party right now and start an independent movement to challenge the Democrats. That's the only way you're going to get change in this country. Why the hell would you vote harder for a party that's never once fought for you? Are these people thinking, vote harder? Why would you vote for someone who's not fighting? Forget about fighting harder. They're not fighting for you at all. So this is just insane. We are so far past the point of people using their brain cells. And so this idea that you're changing the Democratic Party, Bernie and AOC haven't done shit except become, literally they have become Biden and Pelosi apologists. You know, Bernie talks about, oh, Biden's my best friend. And don't even get me started with AOC. You know, she literally apologizes for Pelosi all the time. She hasn't done a damn thing. You know what she's done? AOC has moved her voters and all these people who think they're in a progressive movement when they're not in shit. All they've done is just funnel them deeper into the DNC and into this corrupt Democratic Party.
Ryan, I have a question for you.
She's moving people further to the right, not to the left.
Rome, what were you going to say? Because you were going to say something earlier. I'm sorry.
Because it was, I like that he bring up, you know what I'm saying, how they trying to kill your character, because I have been, like, I should have been canceled one time. I kind of accept, but I don't submit. You know what I'm saying? Because they like, oh, well, like somebody told me that I can't hold myself accountable. Other people got to hold me accountable, whatnot. I'm like, yeah, no, fuck that. Because y'all niggas don't know me. Like, how the fuck, what, you gonna check up on me every day? Like, is you okay? Like, is you still fucking homophobic, Rome? Like, and you know, it's crazy because, you know, growing up in the corners I grew up in and believing the shit that I was taught, and you grow up, you go out into the world and you like, holy fuck, the world is really different than what you have been taught. So, you know, when I used to be hateful, homophobic, and all type of prejudice, motherfuckers use that. Like I warned motherfuckers before I worked for Bernie, when I did work for DSA and shit like that, it was like, oh, that's no problem. But soon I was like, yeah, fuck all this. They try to look up every damn thing and be like, how can we bring down RBN? How can we bring down Tour for the Poor? How can we stop Rome? How can we stop Rome? We had everybody. Now people keep on sharing that same fucking video over about this fucking bad joke.
Well, in Santa Cruz,
and it was from years ago. It was so long ago.
I didn't even have a fucking beard. I don't even remember the shit. But you know what's so crazy about the shit is, you know what? Fuck it. Keep it up. Keep it up. Because
in Santa Cruz,
I love to see how much growth I have actually had, how much I have actually changed over these fucking years, and how dumb I actually looked back in the days. I can actually look back and say I was wrong about something. You know what I'm saying? Not just being some righteous motherfucker.
And that's what life is about.
Right,
life is
wrong,
about.
I believe in this, and you're wrong. Like, no.
That's what our lives are about. They're about redemption. They're about growing and changing. But unfortunately, a lot of this country doesn't want to grow and change. And I always tell people very simply, like, if you're not going to give people the space and dignity to grow and change, then how the hell is our country going to ever grow and change? Because right now it's like everyone wants to be right. Everyone, no, you got to vote blue no matter who. No, you got to vote red no matter who. Fuck all that. That is nonsense.
I'm not taking none of it. I didn't take the cancellation serious for one, because these motherfuckers voted for a sexual predator.
That's right.
A segregationist. You know what I'm saying? A motherfucker who got generations of blood on his hands. So all of that shit that I have said, that bad joke, or however you want to take it, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Take it then, nigga, because you done voted for the motherfucker who had destroyed my motherfucking community and future at that. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So wherever I have said on any motherfucking video, podcast, show, radio talk show, couldn't have been worse than what the fuck you just voted for. Couldn't have been worse than the 15,000 children that you just starved out with your fucking vote. Couldn't have been worse than the fucking bombs that you sent out with your fucking vote the first fucking week he got in fucking office. Could have been worse than the goddamn 18,000 some fucking permits to get to these rich fucking people. It could have been worse. So suck my motherfucking dick, bitch. And if you don't believe that I grew, that ain't up to you. You know what I'm saying?
Let them know.
That's up to me and the people that support me. And at the end of the fucking day, if you don't support me, leave it at that. Don't try to make it look like I'm some hateful guy, and I'm still hateful because I don't agree with your politics. That shit is petty, because I can look up a lot of shit on you motherfuckers. Half of you niggas was racists and Nazis. And
they're supporting the Democratic Party right now as it's funding and arming Nazis in Ukraine. So I mean, let's be real.
And you know what I want to get a one more a little discussion here floating. And that, Ryan, I wanted to throw this one at you because it's something earlier that you said, and then both of you kind of chime in on this. But one of the things that people are feeling almost inured, or like there's like an inertia, right, politically, is because like the Green Party or whenever there's a third party, they get infiltrated or they get taken off the ballot or they get all of that. So what do you say to people when you say, okay, we need more than one party. We need more than the duopoly, obviously. We need corruption out of politics. We need the dark money out of politics. We need some honest brokers who really are interested in actual change. So what do you say, Ryan? Like what about...
So a couple things.
Yeah.
The people are always caught into like, well, can they win? Right? Like, can a third party be viable? Can they win? And the first thing I tell them, look, the people in the United States, we might hold elections, but the people, every election that a Democrat or Republican wins a seat or wins the White House, the people lose every election. You know, the people who are winning our elections are the billionaire class and the corporations who fund our politicians. So this idea that like the people are winning these elections anyways in this oligarchy is a lie. We're not winning. We lose every time either one of these parties hold power. So let's clear that up. As far as it's concerned, look, these two parties, they have a lot of power because they have a lot of money. The Democrats raised $7 billion in 2020, most of that corporate money. The Republicans raised $5 billion. This is both in congressional races and the presidential race. So these parties have a lot of money. They have a lot of power. But you know what they don't have? They're not well liked. Even with all that money and all that power, you can look at the approval ratings and polls aren't even that accurate anyways, because they only, they tend to only poll people who are more affluent, right? They don't really poll poor and working class people, or the people that don't vote. And I used to look at non-voters again before I woke up and think, how could these people not vote? Well, poor and working class people that don't vote, that make up the majority of the non-voters, they don't vote because they understand that whether the president is red or blue, their lives aren't changing, right? You know, you can't lie to poor people. They know their pocketbook's better than the politicians who are lying, right? So that's number one, is these parties they're unpopular, right? There was a poll recently. Congress's approval rating is at 29%, and that's with Democrats holding Congress. Joe Biden's approval rating is at 33%. Wow. And Trump's approval rating is not much higher. It's at like 35%. The Republican Party's approval rating is at like 36%. And I think the Democratic Party's is at like 37%. So these parties are wildly unpopular. That means that we have an opportunity to build something. And I think for, again, people who are afraid of losing, don't worry about that, because we're not winning any elections, and it's going to take time. But I, you know, I voted Green in 2020. I'm going to continue. I'm not working with any party right now. I kind of want to see what happens. I also, as kind of doing independent media, I think it's better for me to remain independent at this point until I see an option that I think is really good to get behind. I don't want to, you know, just like Bernie kind of, I feel, is leading people astray and shepherding them into the Democratic Party. I don't want to lead people astray. And the truth is, we have to be comfortable with not knowing, because I don't think any of us know, besides direct action, besides doing work in your communities, doing what Rome is doing, and building real solidarity in your communities and organizing your workplaces, getting the labor movement recharged, which is happening. I don't think we know the exact vehicle. I think it needs to be revolutionary. I think it needs to be socialist in nature. I think it needs to lead with the poor and the working class. But until that perfect movement presents itself, we need to be agitating. We need to be building solidarity. And I just don't see it happening it's definitely not in this midterm cycle. So don't vote for any of these parties. And it would be nice if we could get a candidate that we could all galvanize behind
election cycle
in 2024. But I haven't seen
both of you. Here's a question for both of you. Are you, would either of you run for office?
Hell no. They already told me they was gonna kill me if I ever tried again.
Okay. All right. So Rome, you're not. What about you, Ryan?
I wanted to piggyback off of Ryan.
Let me just say, people ask me this all the time. I don't know. The reason I don't, I'll be frank, it's complicated. I don't know how much I want to, because so much of my life is public and there's some stuff I like to keep private, but I'll just say that I am not a saint. I'm a recovering drug addict. I know shit like that probably in this new day and age don't matter no more. But I've been clean and sober 10 years, and I just don't know if I'd want to put my family, my partner, he likes his privacy. He specifically has asked me not to run for office. So I don't know if I'd want to put him through that. I won't rule it out. I think if the right opportunity came along, sure. If people wanted me to run for office, and if it was what the movement wanted, and if I could use that seat to get people more radical, and I could fight back against our decrepit capitalist and imperialist system, and that was a vehicle people thought was good, sure, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it. But look, I think part of me is still just, I've been sober a while now, but I just don't want all those old pictures coming back, and I just look back at the things I did.
Fuck that, because that's gonna get more people on your side. That's gonna get more people on your side.
Partner, because my partner is like, we're very political opposites. Yeah. I know that might be weird for some people, but like, I'm very radical.
Does he listen to Pod Save America?
I am an ex-prostitute.
No, he does not listen to Pod Save America. Thank God. I don't think I could go that liberal. I don't think I could date that liberal, because that's what I used to be. He's woken up a little bit, but again, he's definitely not where Rome and I sit. And that's okay. I love him to death. I mean, he's an amazing person. So I don't know. I mean, would I ever run? Possibly.
You heard it exclusively on my show. Ryan Knight could run if you guys galvanize behind him. Let's go.
I'm gonna piggyback off of the question that you asked the first time about the third parties, and see this.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Saying basically, Ryan is saying you people are jumping the gun. You people are jumping the gun when it comes to voting. You're ready to win. You're ready for that victory. You're ready for that feeling of winning. But guess what, bitch? You already lost. We lost more than 1 million people in 2 years. You already lost. We are still fighting for civil rights, women's rights to their bodies. You lost. There is nothing to feel good about. So what we do, we build our own parties if you don't see one in your image, because there are 350 plus million Americans out there that you can grow with. You can grow a party or you can grow a militia. But if you're going to grow a party, you're still going to have some people protecting you, right? You're still going to have front lines. This is why Democratic Party invests into the military. They have the Navy and a National Guard come out whenever there is a protest, a riot, or somebody's at their house, et cetera, et cetera. We have to build that party. It has to be, we have to build it in order for it to be there. So whatever it is that you want this party to be, whether it be militant or political minded, you have to build it. It's not alive right now because everything that has made it to the mainstream, I can point out lots of fucking reasons that you shouldn't go to it. I can point out a couple reasons that you could go and probably flip this bitch over, but then it'd be the same old cycle with the Democratic Party because you know that you're not going to beat dark money with clean money. That's just dumb. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna go into a boxing match and win with nice words. And you're not going to go into war saying hands up, don't shoot, and win, right? All right.
No
so
doubt.
Like I said the first time, remember that this is a class war and we move like we are in an army, like we are in the military, right? So we have to collect this data. We have to put our people in these type of move different because y'all are moving way too fast. And you want your victory right now. And I'm here to tell you every fucking time, there is nothing to feel good about until everybody has housing. There's nothing to feel good about until everybody has healthcare. There's nothing to feel good about until Joe Biden is in prison, until Pelosi is in prison, until Chuck Schumer, until these motherfuckers start seeing the prison bars and the cells that they should be living in. Then we can talk about people like Ryan, Tara, and me running for office. But until right now, we are living under corporate fascism. We are living under corporate fascism.
And also an important point is a lot of
you.
people think, oh, let's just, get elected and then we'll change it there. Some of the biggest change we've seen in this country have come through sustained protest and through acts of real resistance and real fighting in the street. And actually
I'm a black man sitting here talking to a gay white dude, a white woman who has been harassed by the fucking president. Dude, you think that shit came from us playing patty cake with politicians?
No, exactly.
The fuck? We have to fight for this shit. We have to die for this shit. My grandfather died on the streets in order for me to say this shit.
Yep. And so whether you got to agitate from the outside. So no matter what it looks like, we have to fight back against the system. We have to call it the corruption. That is, and we have to hold these politicians accountable. I mean, could you imagine if instead of shaming third-party voters and blaming us, if all that energy was instead directed on the two parties that are preventing us from having a living wage, from having healthcare, from having housing, from having dignity and justice for all, if everyone aimed their ire and their discontent and their dissent at the Democrat and Republican parties, we would be a hell of a lot closer to change than what happens now, where all of a sudden it's the people like us who are trying to agitate, who are trying to inform and educate. We're the ones that are facing all the criticism. And I'm over here like, do you guys realize who has the power, who holds the levers of power? So, look,
Ryan,
I will say one other thing is we have to be politically independent. I believe it has to be socialist. It has to be rooted in the working class and in the poor and in Black and brown people and in the people that the system is pressing down on the hardest. It has to be rooted in that, but it has to be independent. It cannot be affiliated with either of these parties. If someone comes along who's independent, who is calling out the corruption, who's someone we can all get behind, I'm all for that. But let's, like Rome said, we're not there yet. We need to it's like people are throwing spaghetti at the wall and we don't know which is sticking yet. So let's try everything. Let's rebuild up the labor movement. Let's keep calling out these corrupt parties. Let's support independent media like Tara's show so we can have conversations like this. Let's support mutual aid like what Rome's doing. And let's kind of keep building solidarity and something's going to happen. But
That's
let's
our
make
army.
sure it's the right thing so we don't waste all this money. You know how much money we
Thank
gave
you.
to Bernie Sanders and the squad? $160 million
Yes.
was spent on Bernie's 2 presidential cycles and on AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and all the squad. That money, you might as well just thrown your money away. It was completely wasted. They haven't done a damn thing. They haven't used their office they said they were going to fight back against the establishment. They completely folded. So I'm over here like, when does the fighting begin? You know what I'm saying? So we know the fight's not happening inside. So let's fight on the outside until we have a vehicle that is independent and that is 100% for the working class. Then I'll get behind it. And the truth is, this sounds like a bad answer. Right now, I don't really know what that vehicle is. There's some smaller parties, and that's the other part that's unfortunate. We got the Green Party, we got, Socialist Alternative, we got PSL, we got Revolutionary Marxist, we've got all these different parties. And it would be nice if we could somehow find a way to bring all of that revolutionary working class energy together and aim right at the ruling class and right at these 2 parties who are preventing liberation in this country. That's what we need. That's kind of the framework. It's how we get there, like Rome said. And I think we need to just take a step back and not get in over our skis, as my dad used to say.
Because these motherfuckers so used to trickle down economics, bro. They so used to trickle down economics that they thinking that some leader is just gonna come, but like they treat it like a religion. Like I just explained how I don't want to take no shots on your show, but how certain podcasters sell you politics as a religion. You know what I'm saying? It's faith-based. They don't know whether this is gonna happen or not. We're just putting our faith into it. You know what I'm saying? They sell you a word, you pay your tithes.
Well, it's like a cult.
This shit,
It's like what Rose McGowan said. It was a cult.
Yep.
And you just don't know until, you know what I'm saying? But then, everybody get mad at the leader at once, but then you start to forgive them. And then you do the same cycle all over again. They are selling you guys religion. I'm an atheist. I have been a Christian before, and I see religion. I smell religion. You know what I'm saying? I know it when somebody about to push God up or say God is gonna bless. I can smell it. So when I see these people, I know that they are pushing some bullshit. Some shit. Now, y'all want to say the shit that we believe in, like liberation, like, you know what I'm saying? Equal rights. Y'all say that's too much. Y'all say that's pie in the sky. I say taking over the Democratic Party from the inside is pie in the sky. Dog, once y'all realize how many people actually control these parties and how much money that these people actually have. Now we aren't just dealing with politicians. We're dealing with lobbyists and we're dealing with corporations, right? These corporations control do back and forth with these lobbyists who tell the politicians what to say to you guys. The politicians make you think that you have a choice, but it's just an illusion of choice, because
that's right.
Once it goes down,
absolutely.
Look who actually wrote laws during the coronavirus. We have airlines writing laws. We have
lobbyists, the healthcare lobbyists wrote the Affordable Care Act.
That's right. That's right.
It was a big gift to giant insurance companies. And then Hillary and Obama went on TV and dressed it up like it was this great thing. It left 30 million people uninsured. It left 82 million people underinsured. It is a for-profit, predatory health insurance system, Obama.
Oh, and now they're trying to privatize it.
You can't afford it. Yeah, well, that's what they're doing to Medicare. They're trying to privatize Medicare. They actually already are. And Trump started it, and Biden is finishing it. And again, that's just, this is where liberals, they're delusional. They went from, I said this to a friend the other day, and it kind of woke him up a little bit. He got really pissed. Liberals get really mad when you say the truth. But I said, you went from resisting a president who put kids in cages, started endless wars, and gave big tax breaks to billionaires, to resisting one, to supporting one who is now putting kids in cages and continuing proxy wars, and giving more tax cuts and more welfare to corporations. So I mean, literally, it's two cults. These people.
That's the infinite loop of that motherfucking electoral politics, man. And no matter what team that you're on, my team did something better. Your team did something worse. Like, okay, Hillary Clinton might have started a slave trade in Libya, but she also did this. You know what I'm saying? Trump did this. or so-and-so did this. Like, it's always going to be something. They always
No,
gonna
it's the
give up.
military industrial
something.
complex. It's the weapons manufacturers like Raytheon, like Lockheed Martin, they have control, right? Along with, like Jeff Bezos with the Washington Post, where democracy dies just at the Washington Post instead of,
Indeed.
I think their motto is democracy dies in darkness.
Yes, they are the darkness. You are the darkness.
You
Jeff
are the
Bezos.
darkness.
You are literally
dark-
the darkness
yeah,
that is destroying
They're
democracy.
the Darth Vader of newspapers. And I mean, these legacy newspapers like New York Times, Washington Post, or like the media, CNN, and MSNBC, they're all worshiping the State Department and the spooks and the CIA, agents that come on their show all the time, these intelligence dudes. And that's what they are. They're just former or current CIA agents.
But
and that's
the other
what
day,
makes
you know
their
who they keep
information.
talking to? They keep having the CEO of Lockheed Martin on. And hello, people, the CEO of Lockheed Martin, he has a vested interest in continuing this proxy war for as long as possible.
And they did that with Raytheon reps
of
too.
Of course he's going to continue to support this proxy war with Russia. Like, you notice how they never have any anti-imperialist voices on or any people who are pushing for peace and
No, wait.
No.
Tucker Carlson had Glenn Greenwald on.
Well, there you go. See, and that's the state
That's
that we're in.
that's their middle
Fox
ground.
News will have an anti-imperialist on, and CNN and MSNBC won't even have one on. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not a fan of Fox News, but that's where we're at, where there's
I wanted to say
no
this,
truth
like,
getting into the airwaves at all. And that's the corporate media. Their role is to protect the empire, to protect our decrepit capitalist system, and to get people to obey. They want people to obey the system. They don't want people thinking outside of the box. They don't want people listening to your show, Tara, which people should listen to your show. And they definitely don't want people listening to me in Rome. They want people who are just
this is
gonna
what I
vote
wanted
red
to
or
say.
blue. Because if you can vote
let
red or
Rome-
blue, they can control you. They can control the population. That's how they control the American population. They get them in a red box or a blue box, and then you are just literally being controlled by the oligarchy. You basically have no opinion.
One thing I have learned is I can fight fire with fire. And that was one of the biggest lies that I have ever heard. And one ways that I do fight back, one of the ways I do get anybody on my side to fight on my side of what I believe in, even if they don't believe in it, is propaganda. And it's a good thing that you guys have your shows, because this is a part of our military also. Propaganda, pushing it in our people's heads. We might not be breaking it, giving you stat by stat, and we're just giving you bits and pieces, hot takes and whatever, and pulling you over to even hear these conversations, whatnot. Everybody has a fight, everybody has a place in the revolution. So whether you're a podcaster or I say propagandist, because we all do our part, and let's not act like this isn't some type of propaganda, because this is the only way. This is one of the only ways that Americans learn. We're not talking about out of the country motherfuckers, because we know that y'all know.
I prefer to think of it as thinking critically. So what we're doing is questioning the narrative. So we're pushing back on the narrative. It's not propaganda. It's more thinking critically and past their propaganda.
Yeah,
Moving past theirs.
We have to have our own types. Like, when people want to push out, like, okay, well, how can we do this? They use me for example, but that's some type of propaganda, like, it's some quick, snappy, you don't have to go through all the fucking details on it. It's just something quick and snappy. We have to fight back with their propaganda, because this is one of the only ways that Americans learn. And their
I think the difference in the propaganda is the propaganda that you get from the CIA and corporate media is propaganda that is being pushed to enrich one group of people, and that's the ruling class.
The elites.
And I think the messages we're trying to do, or the society and world we're trying to build, is a society that centers the people, not the ruling class, and it centers the working class. So, I think the messages maybe have some difference, but I agree with Rome. I mean, you have to be bold. You can't hold back. I think that, for me, I have ADHD. If y'all haven't already figured that part out, I have. And so, but what I've tried to do is I've tried to use that, and I try to use that energy to kind of, that's the only reason I've been able to do this. And I just try to like hyper focus on different messages that need to get out there, or talking to different people. Like when Tara, you came out and were brave. I realized, okay, I got to have you on my show. This is, during the election, because people were just, you got it bad. They were coming after you. They were trying to destroy you.
Oh my God, they tried to
yeah.
kill her.
I have to say, you are strong. Like, you are brave. Like, you inspired your courage. Like, because they were sending they had every troll farm going after you. I saw the messages, and it was like, it was attack after attack. And then, and then I can tell when it's like the troll farm, the person, and then I can tell when like a real person sharing a message that is definitely from the troll farm. And that's how the DNC does it, right? They get their message out with all these little troll accounts just until like a real person who's just like a naive liberal will pick it up and be like, oh yeah, that Tara, she's a Russian asset. I knew it. The whole thing, and then they discredit you. So, props to you for your courage, your conviction, and for,
well, thank you.
We're all still here. We're
all still here. I had death threats, and as you know, you had stalking. We had death threats. I went through that. The thing is with the trolls is normally they stay in their little box online, but every once in a while, in my case, they were coming after. They stalked my daughter. I was staying in a hotel. They posted a map to where I was staying and saying Joe Biden's accuser is here. It got gnarly. They went after Professor Zankus, who is the trauma expert who supported me. They wrote letters to his employer at Columbia to get him fired. Anyone that supported me, they went after their employers. It got like, I had to eventually go for help when I got a few pretty gnarly death threats, but we're all dealing with it. Like anyone who's out there I just happened to tell the truth about the presidential candidate, but it's what happened to me. But by telling that truth, it became a revolutionary act, just like Orwell
we need your ass protected by revolutionary people with that mindset of keeping you alive, keeping that word, keeping you alive just enough to get the truth out there, even if we can't do the job.
Well, and then
I watched a lot of people. I remember how that all unfolded, and I just saw a group of community. A lot of it were people that were in the Bernie coalition, and I watched them just surround you and protect you, Tara.
Yes,
and it was, I knew I wasn't voting for Joe Biden. I couldn't vote for him in the general. So I spent much of that time, we had some great conversations on my show. You and I did. And I spent that time like defending you and just exposing the hypocrisy. Like, how can a party that says they believe all women, the moment the leader of the Democratic Party, it gets revealed that he also sexually assaulted a woman, and all of a sudden that entire narrative you believed in doesn't exist anymore? Like, it's such bullshit to me. Like, how can these people like put their pants on every day? Like, they're such hypocrites.
The people who was accusing her of lying straight up, those wasn't the people that was getting to me. The people that was pissing me off was the people that knew that this woman was telling the truth. But what are we to do? We were supposed to vote Trump. No, bitch.
Yeah. The lesser of two evils. Remember that argument?
No, I saw one person.
Bro, oh my God.
They were like, no,
I just don't know. Like, what would happen
by one woman and Trump has 20? And they were like trying to equate sexual, like do like an equivalence. Well, I'm voting for the one who's raped the least amount of people. I'm like, do you hear yourself right now? Did you hear how fucking stupid you sound?
That was an actual argument, Ryan. That was an
actual.
Let their fucking rapist, let their daughter rapist get
like, are you fucking serious?
Man, come on, man. They're gonna be like, ain't no way we should be voting for this motherfucker. Ain't no way y'all should be voting for this motherfucker. They'd be out here doing everything they could to expose their crimes. Let it be their fucking auntie, their mother, their daughter, their nieces. They're gonna be up in arms about it. But just because it's their favorite president or they have something to, they're gonna look bad by Joe Biden being outed. It like we didn't even need you to come out to even see this shit for our own eyes, what he have been doing and saying around these children and smelling and sniffing them like some wrong the nigga.
But the thing is, Rome, is like we have to say this, we've all been vindicated. Because this presidency is an absolute disaster. The working class is actually worse off now than they were under Trump. That's how bad things are right now.
I know, and they kept saying that. Well, you know what? I want to thank you guys because we're a little over time, but this was such a great discussion.
Thank you.
And you both mean a lot to me because you don't just like get on a show and talk about it. You're both taking action in your lives and you're walking your truth. And you're doing it and you're helping other people. Both of you have helped so many. And Rome, what you're doing is amazing. And I want to stay in touch with you. Are you going to come to the West Coast? Or are you staying mostly in the East and Midwest?
I just left the West Coast. What?
Okay, I missed
like
you.
2 weeks ago. So
Are you going to
I'm
come
coming
back?
to California? I think Oakland next year. I'm gonna try to do north. I'm gonna try to focus on the north of California.
Washington.
Washington. I'm gonna try to help the people out in Paradise, California, Dallas, Texas, Tennessee, Nashville, and it was another fucking T state. Oh, the Dakotas, the North Dakotas, South Dakotas, and the motherfucking what else? What else? The other identicals.
There's like
Carolina.
Washington,
North
Oregon.
Carolina, South Carolina.
Yep, those two. So those next on my list. I'm so sorry. I should have my assistant here. I don't do this.
But thank you for everything you're doing. And
I'm opening up a clinic. In Boston. It's gonna be a tent clinic. Nothing big. I can't afford no shit like that. I know everybody want to call me a capitalist. But this bone cost me $65, motherfucker. Yeah, but no, I'm not a capitalist. I'm gonna open up a little tent clinic. Gonna have people taking the days off. Actual medical professionals. They're gonna be giving out condoms, clean needles, masks, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? Getting people tested, trying to get people, you know what I'm saying, some help mentally, trying to get.
Good.
Go out there, or at least talk to them, and not only talk to them, but get them in the communist mindset. So, yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, Tara, thank you so much.
Ryan, what do you have on your plate next? What's your next?
Nothing.
Don't say that. You have your show. When's your show? Tell everyone where to find you.
Actually, I think we're speaking with Jill Stein on Friday, so that should be a good conversation.
Ooh, okay.
Jill Stein on Friday. It's going to be on Call-In at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Tell her another Russian asset, because we're both Russian assets.
Right.
Tell her I said hi, and Susan Sarandon and I and her have been, I guess, ruining the universe. So
yes, you guys are all responsible for the failures of the Democratic Party. It's not the Democratic Party's fault.
I think what did I destroy? I destroyed Me Too.
It's all you guys. You guys are single-handed. You wrote all the laws that are rigged against us and rigged for the corporations.
That gerrymandered the states.
You're the one. You're the one who collaborates with the Republicans to.
I know. And Susan Sarandon, the goddess that she is of the universe, she didn't codify Roe versus Wade. And so here we are.
Believe it? She didn't abolish the filibuster.
I know. I know.
All right, peace out, everyone. I've been. This is me out of my shell. You got me really late at night. I hope I wasn't like. Who fucking cares?
This was great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the listeners who came, and keep up the fight.
Yes.
I love you.
Keep it up, bro.
I love you. I love you.
Take care. Thank you, Indy, for all your help.
Love you, Tara.
Bye. Love you.